Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Wow.
That's a black thing. That's like, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
My daughter would love that. She would totally get exactly what you did right there, and she'd be like, T... Uwu, and yes, Queen. All right. Ruben Bressler.
Hello. Thank you for having me on this professional show that we host together.
Oh, geez.
The internet's Ruben Bressler
Good
is
evening.
here. Very nice. Very nice. Thanks
The
for
man puts on a button down and suddenly he's Speaker of the House.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we also get started with our trumpet blast. You can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. But we also kick it off with our first pick and giveaway. The $50 gift certificate could be yours! Raffle. 2 entries for those subs. If you want to sub it up and then enter, get that extra entry as you should. We had a hell of a week, is what happened. We had shakeups that I was not expecting. Then we had more shakeups that I was not expecting, and then we had more things happen that was not expected. And holy cow, hold on for the ride. Let's start with the MPL. The Magic Pro League, allow me to start it right here. No one knows what the Magic Pro League is. I want to repeat that.
Not a clue.
They have never explained what the Magic Pro League is supposed to be, who it's for, and we'll certainly get to how in the world you get in it. But apparently, they did their Spark Split. They began their weekly series of events where they're going to put these different divisions against each other, and you get to see the pros kind of, dogfight it out or whatever. And that was kind of cool and
Well,
neat.
apparently the pros weren't the only one fighting, if you watch the coverage.
Well, there you go. It was, so some people, have tough times being commentators together. It's okay. All I know is that kind of happened. Okay, sure, whatever. And then we were like, okay, what's Wizards actually going to do about Yuuya? Yuuya Watanabe was caught dead to rights with marked cards. Like, I mean, you can go find the pictures and you tell me how that is in any way, shape, or form accidental. So, Wizards, to their credit, they put out a statement where the hammer has officially dropped. Yuuya Watanabe was disqualified from the Magic Pro League and was also removed from the Magic Hall of Fame, which is
banned for 30 months, which is
30 months.
Longer than most of Alex Bertoncini's bans.
Okay, well, 2.5 years he'll get to think about this. And this was not an easy move. This was we're making a statement here. We're saying this is not okay. This is not something that can represent the MPL. And this is what happens when you try to cheat at our largest events. And for what it's worth, I really appreciate that. And I got big respect for Wizards for doing what they did. Yuuya, naturally, confused. He says, we asked for evidence that I proved I did something wrong, but we talked with them. Instead, they just told us their verdict. I can't express how sad this result is. I hope they provide a proper explanation with evidence. Dude, you provided the evidence with the cards that had the markings on them. And then your team went out and posted like this thing. They posted another thing with all of this evidence. Like, he didn't have his deck face toward him when he totally had his deck face toward him the whole time. It was weird, y'all. It was weird. So I'm sad about that. I hope 2.5 years go by. Yuuya learns lessons. We all love a good redemption arc. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all well-deserved. 30 months is what cheaters should always have been given, at least. This is a step in the right direction. I like that it happened. It is unfortunate that it didn't happen sooner to other serial cheaters whom we've discussed ad nauseum on this program in the past. But making a statement about Yuuya as the first statement is a powerful message to begin with. I'm glad that he was banned. I'm glad that he was removed from the Hall of Fame. I'm glad that he was removed from the Magic Pro League based on this evidence alone. Now, if new evidence comes to light, or something else happens, cool. But as with the information I have been given, this is a just punishment and one of the best decisions that Wizards of the Coast related people have made in the past year.
Has there been any precedents for this before? Like, has anybody ever been removed from the Hall of Fame, or have there ever been Hall of Famers that have been caught doing things and allowed to stay in?
Saito was nominated.
The closest example is Saito.
Right.
He was elected in, but not brought in yet.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, he received his suspension between being selected for the Hall of Fame and being inducted.
Wow.
There have been people who have served suspensions for things in the past who are in the Hall of Fame. Most notably, Bob Maher. That was a 6-month suspension for a much more
different charge.
Reason.
Bob Maher was not cheating as marking his cards cheating. They were making events to help boost their rating or whatever, which is also shady and definitely deserves the DQ. Don't get me wrong, but he's not literally cheating at Magic as in I'm marking my cards to figure out what I'm going to draw next so I can beat.
And of course, there's Guillaume Wafo-Tapa who served his suspension for something else on the God Book, which was unrelated to cheating in the traditional sense. And so we are without precedent here. And so the fact that we have set precedent with such a stringent policy, I think is a win.
Oh, let's start this roller coaster ride, y'all. So, 11:57 2 days ago, Magic Esports tweets out, Gerry Thompson is resigning from the MPL for the 2019 season. We wish Gerry the best in his endeavors and look forward to his continued involvement in the Magic community. And oh yeah, there's a blog post.
What a heck of a thing for me to wake up to.
God bless Gerry and his willingness to just sort of burn it all down. Most of the time when you see separations, whether they be on an employment level or a personal level, you either don't hear anything or you hear the very I appreciate the opportunity and it was wonderful to be included. Oh no.
Yeah, So, basically, Gerry, I'm not sure if there's anyone literally more respected in Magic at this point other than Gerry Thompson.
I have to tell you, people, is a surprising, hero turn. I knew Gerry growing up, and there were a lot of people who did not like Gerry growing up because we're all small children at some point in our lives. But Gerry grew up and entered this hero phase of the story where he has been fighting for the little guy, and it's one of the best character arcs in Magic the Gathering history.
He's also one of the few pros to speak up for women and other minorities as well. A lot of pros won't go near any of that, but he is more than willing to. Famously donated his earnings to Planned Parenthood, which is surprisingly relevant right now. And so, yeah, just an example of what a person should be.
Now, I would be surprised if Gerry Thompson were invited to anything ever again by Wizards of the Coast, having no-showed at
Worlds and
now 2 events or 2 big things.
Right. So he puts up a blog post that says, TLDR, I joined the Magic Pro League in the first place because it seemed easier to make a difference from the inside. I was wrong. The lack of transparency and unwillingness to listen to feedback continue to be huge issues. So he notes that their contract negotiations, quote unquote, involve Wizards saying, deal with it. This is the contract, sign it or walk. And so that's, contracts are usually negotiated. That's kind of the whole point of a contract. They had a boot camp. Remember this? Remember when they flew them all out to Wizards and then they took pictures and all this other good stuff? The boot camp was mostly good, but we had several issues. We took a how to stream seminar roughly a month after most people had started streaming. Okay. The Japanese were forced to fly there for basically no reason, he says. And we were supposed to get emails with all this information and summaries and stuff, and that didn't happen for 4 months, which basically means it was sort of useless.
Let me tell you what happens right now when you Google the phrase Magic Pro League. First link, Magic the Gathering's new pro players prove to be controversial picks from Kotaku.
Wow.
Magic the Gathering Esports seeks to diversify pro scene with new additions, Esports Observer. Magic the Gathering's Pro League is a total mess right now from Screen Rant. Gerry Thompson resigns from the Magic Pro League, Daily Esports. MTG Pro Gerry Thompson resigns from MPL over lack of ... from Dot Sports. There's an Epic Stream link. There's another .esports link. It is not good news. I mean, there is something to be said of, all news is good news or all press is good press. But boy, if I had my druthers, I would not love the news links of the past 3 days. The Magic Pro League has lost a full 10%, not a full 10%, almost 10%. 3 of their 30, actually more than 10%, 3 of their 32 original members announced, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, are now gone for varied reasons, of various degrees of controversy, for different reasons. It is not great right now, and that's just the people who've left.
It's not good, and no one's putting out the fires. You have nobody doing any sort of PR. You have nobody, there's no community management trying to put the car back on the rails. We're just off the rails and flying off the roller coaster at this point. Like, it's just
and I know that this is brave new territory for Magic. You know, Hasbro has never been a company that has been involved in computerized sports, digitized athletics. For the longest time, for a decade and a half, the organized play department was the bastion that we could rely on the most from Magic the Gathering, past maybe game design. The cards were good.
Right, R&D, and then...
the competitive scene was good. There was a path from walking into your first F&M to winning the world championship that you could see. From your where you were standing, there was a path, and now the path is so obscured and gray, and
it's not even, it doesn't even exist, and we'll talk about that. The boot camp he mentioned had the issues. The Mythic Invitational was a monster hit, that like 100K viewers, which was insane.
That was an A+.
Despite Duo standard, coverage immediately walked back to the status quo at MC2, and that's not the only factor, but it's certainly a large reason why the Twitch numbers were so poor. Like, that Pro Tour or Mythic Championship was seriously poorly viewed for a variety of reasons. Communication is still lacking. Announcements for the Mythic Grind, the MCQs for MC3, even our MPL League play were given with very little lead-in time. And at this point, it should be very clear that the players represented to select Magic at its highest level were not thoroughly vetted. Now, you could argue that I'm in that camp. However, I'd like to think this is Jerry Thompson. I'd like to think that if things were progressing rather than regressing, I would have held on to my position. Following my World's protest, I've tried to go through, quote, proper channels, but all that got with me was a string of unanswered messages. I don't think my decision to leave is unjustified. And let's final here. There's no information about the mocks, the MOCS. There is some now, and we'll talk about some coverage here in a little bit.
Which still isn't clear.
Which still isn't really clear, because Platinum no longer exists, and it's no longer part of the first place, and it's not replaced by anything. That's 20 grand of equity that just disappeared, just floated away, and that's pretty much it. The system is currently a mess, and it doesn't look like it'll be fixed anytime soon, and it's not one he would like to participate in. So that's a thing. Now, Gerry isn't going anywhere. He's still going to be making stuff. He's still doing the GAM podcast. He's still writing articles on Star City, all that good stuff.
Right. It is pronounced, apparently it's pronounced the GAM podcast.
Well, they did a rebrand now. It's like an arena-ish show.
Okay.
Arena Deck List or something.
Well, Arena Deck List is the Twitter account for sure.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So now in the story, we have Yuuya gets banned and Gerry quit. And
still no word on Owen.
I was going to say, and third member whom shall remain forever,
right.
He who shall not be named, also is no longer involved.
Right. Shall have no point of closure or any idea what in the hell happened other than he gone and no one talk about it.
Right. So we have
Magic
have 3 very different types of exits from our inaugural season.
Correct. So at this point, between Autumn Burchett coming in for Owen, right? So there was that. So now we have the 2 new holes. On esportsobserver.com, Magic the Gathering Esports seeks to diversify pro scene with new additions. They're adding 2 people here, this being Jessica Estefan, who has won a Grand Prix. She plays down in Australia. Terrific. Jan Savjz McConan, is that correct?
Yeah. Mikonen. Savjz.
Savjz, thank you.
Or Savjz, one of the 2.
Fair enough. Estefan is the first woman to compete in the MPL, the highest ranked woman on the pro point system from the previous competitive Magic season, made the top 16 of the last Invitational, and the only woman ever to win a Magic Grand Prix.
I think she also has the most points in her region as well. I think being like Australia, New Zealand, that thing.
Oceania.
Yeah.
Now, Savjz doesn't have as much experience in Magic Pro structures. Recently hit the #1 Mythic ranking within Arena. That's right. A weird thing, but okay, sure. It's good at Arena. In both cases, these players who might not have made it into the MPL via a strict meritocracy using the traditional system. Right. Stefan in particular.
There are arguments in favor of all three, and there are arguments against all three in this particular system because of how the MPL was spelled out to begin with. The MPL said we were basing this initial season on the previous season's pro points.
Right.
They invited the top 32 point earners. 2 people said no, and then they went down the list, inviting the next Asia Pacific ranked player and another high ranked player, I believe the next in line. Then when these 3 folks exited, we added 3 folks who were not next in line, the 34th, 35th, 36th. Those would have been folks like Sam Pardee, Matt Severa, Jeremy Dizani, Corey Burkhart, people who were between 30th and 40th on the overall stack from the previous season. Now, the arguments in favor are that Autumn Burchett is the 2019 leader in points. She is the first Mythic Championship winner. They are the first Mythic Championship winner. They have more points this season than anyone else, and they have proven themselves to be a
great player.
A great player, 2-time national champion. No one batted an eye when they were selected.
Right, everyone was fine. That was great.
These next 2 also have great arguments in favor of them. Great first female Grand Prix champion, leader in points in a region that is underrepresented, first woman in the MPL. Jan is the #1 ranked player in Arena Ladder. Very popular streamer, has a lot of clout and a lot of success on Arena specifically, which this is an event being handled on that. The argument against, of course, is that that's all in 2019, not in 2018. So we're not basing it on what the MPL was initially said to be. So that is the baseline. That's level 0 of where we're starting.
Right. So the internet kind of lost its mind. As it can do in these situations, which was a thing. Basically, here's the thing, okay? And as this was sort of known, and as this kind of sort of started to ripple out, here's my #1 problem, because I've been searching for the right way to put this, frame this, figure out how to explain it to our wonderful audience. And there's nobody. Okay, Wizards, if you are listening, and sometimes you are. To the outside, to those people who ain't in that building in Renton, it looks like nobody is at the helm of this ship. And I mean nobody. What it looks like to the world is that we hope Elaine Chase likes it, and if Elaine Chase likes it, it'll happen. And if it don't, it don't. And that's just the long and short of it. Because with no plan, there is no roadmap. With no roadmap, there is only confusion. With a choice that may have been on a roadmap that you know but we don't, this looks like madness. Earlier this year, we had this exact same problem with Paper Magic. Everything was being yanked from Paper Magic, and they didn't tell us all about this WPM premium stuff and how they were going to reinvest in Paper Magic and local events and all these other ideas. And so we were like freaking out, like, oh my God, the Grand Prix could be gone in a couple of years based on the way we're trending. But then they're like, no, let's let me show you how we're actually doing this. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. Modern Horizons will help out the modern events, and the modern Grand Prix will be so much better, and that's cool. But like again, you need, and I mean seriously soon, to tell me how to get to the MPL in 2020. Tell me, how do I? As a person at home.
Even if you don't tell the rest of us, at least tell the players involved. Like, it would be one thing if the 32 knew and they were like, oh man, like we got some great things going on and you're in 11th. But as Sherry mentions with his blog post, they weren't even privy to it. Like, they signed up for a league, and then once they got there, the communication broke down. And at the very least, you should involve the players in the chain. Like,
it's a hot mess is what it is, and what it looks like and what it feels like. And I got no problems. Let's be 100% clear. This isn't we're not dunking on Jess and Savjz. They didn't do anything wrong. They were look. They were offered something, and they were going to take it. Okay, fine.
Look, if I were either of them, I would accept. I would have accepted too. If I were either of them. Yeah. Now, this is the idea. Essentially, is that. And the next morning, okay, so this was actually, I think it was yesterday morning. Savjz had streamed at one point, and
you're also forgetting the 16 invitation.
Oh, yeah, and they added 16 slots to the Mythic Championships that's supposed to be.
Yeah. Right,
they're just supposed to be. Originally, it was just MPL members and the people who got there via the arena ladder, and now all of a sudden the field got much bigger. And surprise!
You also don't know how those people are going to get their slots either.
Yeah,
those feel similar to how the special invites used to.
Right. And this feels a lot like the marketing department essentially won and said, you know, you really should branch out and get this person because they have a really big following and we're here to try to get more eyeballs and eyeballs. And so they're making a lot of really quick decisions with, I think, a very short-term outlook, which is, for God's sakes, do you know what you're doing to the long-standing kind of setup of your organized play? How your organized play was a very clear X to Y to Z, and this is how you get to be in the pro club, and this is how we pay you, and this is how you get to the echelon, and how you have completely destroyed that. It was important to me when I was young that I could look up to, and I'm not even talking about how, you know, the meritocracy and how I'm a white guy, and because I'm a white guy, all sorts of things fell my way, and I get it, okay, I get it. But in terms of like a nerdy kid who was like, I want to be the best. It makes me feel good to be good at Magic. What can I do to be the best? What are the rewards for being really good at Magic? And they showed you. They said, here's the Pro Tours. They said, here's the World Champions. They said, we're making tokens of them. We're putting their pictures into the books. We're in the magazines that you're reading. Like, all that stuff was incredible to me. I loved that. That's part of what I loved about Magic. And you've destroyed it because you can't tell me, as the guy who likes competitive Magic, how to get into your upper echelon. You used to be real clear about that, right, and that's gone. And that's the problem.
It also feels like a bit of a backpedal, because one of the things that I liked about the MPL when it was first announced is that you were kind of separating the men from the boys, so to speak. You know, the definition of a pro got really murky after a while, where it was like, I want an open, I want a PPTQ, I'm a pro, and it's like, and so it became really, really difficult to please all of these flavors of pro. And so when the MPL announcement first came out, it seemed like they were really putting a firm definition on, this is a pro. Like, you are one of these, or I'm sure you're doing great things, and I'm sure you're nice and all, but like, this is pro. This is who we are catering to. And I really, really appreciated that. And it does feel like they've gone backwards on that of now, what does a pro mean? You know, now, you know, we're obviously seeing the lines being blurred a little bit. It seems like that criteria might not matter. And in such a very short time, like you said, this was announced 3-4 months ago. And to have the record stop like this is just wild. Like,
Wizards sometimes really sucks at communication. I mean, really bad. And this is one of the clear cases of it's really hurting all the people who had those dreams, all the people who dedicated their lives. When you're getting like, you know, low grade shade from Reed Duke, you done messed up. Superman had to call you out and be like, yo, just look, if you want to take half the MPL and give it to whoever the hell you like, I'm fine with that. But tell Joe Blow at home how to get to the other half. Tell him how to do it. That's your problem.
That is the real problem here. It is a small distinction to note here, that we are not in favor of a specific path forward in this particular circumstance. All we want is what the path forward is.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That is the distinction that we're drawing here. We can talk about the details once we know the details. Mm-hmm. But you can't build a second story on a house with a shaky foundation. Yeah. And the foundation has to be built and shown to us. The number 3 thing that Gerry had on his list of reasons why he skipped Worlds last summer was the lack of transparency in Wizards of the Coast. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing it again, and it's unfortunate, and I don't know where it stems from, but it is systematic for some reason that we do not have this information. It needs to, so whatever it is, whether we like it or not, whether we like the final product of, man, I don't agree with that as a way to qualify, as long as it's quantified how to qualify, then we can start getting down to brass tacks. But as long as it's murky and it's imperceptible, it's just us. It's just tilting at windmills, complaining that there is no groundwork laid. It's all confusing and mysterious, and that doesn't engender trust, particularly in a brand new initiative that is supposed to be a way forward for Magic in esports.
I listened to some podcasts this morning, and because I'm trying to get as much information as I can, and it feels like a lot of people don't understand why the pros are upset. It's never to do with like, there's a girl here, I don't care. They what they care about is, I earned my place in this here. This, you know, you created random criteria, honestly, of just saying we chopped at the top 32 pro points. Okay, that was a ladder that they climbed. And now there's not even a ladder. There's like, I don't know what the hell is going on. Like, once GP Seattle happens, there's no more pro points. Pro points are gone. forever. What are you doing, Wizards? You need to tell us what you're doing because no one believes you even know what you're doing at this point.
So,
yeah, you're seeing the fallout too. You know, you're seeing pros. Lucas Esper Berthoud, you know, shortly after the announcement came out, he had posted something on Twitter that was like, you know, I think it's time I take a break. You know, I don't know if the two were necessarily related, but, you know, even people in our own Discord, you know, we have listeners that are like, you know, people who said, you know, I may not be like the best grinder out there, you know, I may not be whatever, but like this really makes me not even want to go to events. This makes me not even want to try. And so, you know, you're losing confidence, not even amongst the higher tier, but you're even losing confidence on the ground floor of people that, you know, just don't even want to go to 1Ks or 5Ks or opens anymore because and that's not good.
I mean, and to be clear, and this is actually mentioned in the chat, Jess was not the controversial pick.
Yeah. Is the more controversial pick.
And this also opens up the door to another debate that's been happening in the Magic community, is this divide between the arena players and the paper community. You know, on the one hand, you know, I truly don't want to seem like I'm gatekeepering or anything like that, but there does seem to be a split or a disconnect between the two communities where, you know, they seem to be, to a lot of the arena players, it does feel like they're almost just punching a time card, and they get in, they play their arena, they don't interact with the rest of us, they don't let you in on their social media accounts, they don't tell you who they are in their bios, and then this sort of thing that Savjz says, of where he really can't be arsed to go, just really kind of made that divide even wider of like, you know, why are you here? You don't collaborate with us, you don't go to our events, you don't participate in discussions, you don't, you know, is this just a job for you, I guess? And I guess that's fine, but I mean...
Whoa, Evan, your sound went weird.
Whoa.
Check your mic.
Oh, okay. Sound went weird.
You're good.
You're good? Okay, cool.
You're back now, yeah.
All right. I think I'm a little idealistic in terms of what I viewed as, you know, a path to the Pro Tour and becoming a Pro Tour champion and becoming a world champion, becoming a pro player, a player who everyone knows and everyone looks up to and yada, yada. There was a dream in that 15-year-old kid that was born from seeing all these people being lauded as the best in the game, right? And you got this guy who's invited into the Echelon of Echelons, and then says, you know, one of your big marquee events of the year, I'm not, I can't handle it. I can't, you know, the contract.
How was that not agreed upon before he even got in here? Like, that's something you should have gotten out of the way.
How does the contract not have that in it? Wizards, for God's sake, you didn't even make them show up? Are you kidding me? It just feels like a real slap in the face to a guy who has spent ungodly amounts of hours driving to PTQs, grinding at GPs, going to big pre-releases back when that was a thing, and having super fun with my friends to try to get better because there was the sealed PTQ coming up, and we got to make sure that happens. I mean, just
boy, are you appealing to the wrong people if you think they care about that.
And they don't, and that's fine. I'm trying to tell you about the people who are upset. That's what they're upset about. They don't hate these people. They just don't like the fact that, like, it just feels super random. Whereas before, there was a way to get there.
And that's the distinction, is that this portion of our conversation is about what is the path. Because when they announced the MPL, we knew what the path was. Top 32 from the pro points.
Right.
Once GP Seattle rolls around and there aren't pro points anymore, then we have a new way to do things. But we have this starting point of top 32. Some people didn't accept invites. Some people were removed. And they didn't just slot in the next people. Instead, there was some murky shadow cabal that selected from other data who would be put in. Now, personally, for me, Savjz getting selected means I get to do Savjz voice on the show, which I love. But, you know, when you choose Savjz, Jess, Autumn, and other people who were like top of their region instead of people who were literally next in line, quote unquote, that is antithetical to what they said the system was. Mm-hmm. As soon as GP Seattle happens, I am totally cool with you inviting whoever the heck you want. Because at that point, you get to make the rules again. But you don't get to do what has been done, which is make the rules and then change them without explaining them or updating them.
And then it's about diversity.
Where all this frustrating is coming from.
Then it's about diversity, and Greg Orange is like, hey, dog, right. I want a Pro Tour too.
Recent Pro Tour champion, yeah. There's a lot to unpack once we get past the information.
Yeah,
information.
And I do think it's interesting that these changes are that Wizards is essentially addressing the elephant in the room over what merit means and over what meritocracy means. And we've seen a lot of this past week too, of people saying, I'm good at the game, therefore I deserve this. And what a lot of people, particularly our audience or our players, don't really understand is that there are a lot of unseen factors that go into your success. And Patrick Sullivan made a great short thread about this, that, you know, it's not just about you being good to the game, it's about you having access to cards, you having access to stores, you having access to a team, you having access to events, you having family and relationships that support you in this endeavor, you having the time and money to spend grinding, because it's not cheap, and you know, you may not have a job that will let you do that. And all of those things conspire to make you a good player. But there are players out there that are good that we will never talk about, that we will never see, because they do not have access to those resources. Same thing with making content. You know, people will look at us and say, well, you guys must be really hard workers. You're Magic Mikes. You're successful. And it's like, oh no, there are people out there who are funnier than we are, work harder than we are, and you won't see them, just because a lot of what our success came down to was built-in audiences, luck, time, dedication, having our finger on the pulse of the community. And you really do need to address those sort of unseen factors, that it's not as simple as just you were good at the game. A lot of things had to come together for you to get that. And you do see this interview with Elaine where she appears to kind of strike a blow in that perception of, you know, so much goes into, Reed even kind of chimed in. Reed was like, you know, I've spent hundreds of hours being good at this game, that, you know, the wins don't last forever. And there's a lot that goes into that package. And on the one hand, I'm glad they're talking about it, but it's a really hard pill to swallow, I think, for a lot of people.
I mean, for the Matt Severas and you know, the Corey Burkharts, like, my heart breaks for him, honestly.
Yeah.
There was a great thing that Ari put in his article that I wanted to point out, which is, you know, there's the psychographics, right? There's the Timmy, there's the Johnny, there's the Spike. Timmy wants to feel something. Johnny wants to do something unique or fun or interesting that you weren't expecting. And the Spike wants to improve. The Spike wants to be the best they can be, and wants to be lauded as the best, and wants to get the trophy because they're the best. They get the money because they're the best. And there's a path to the best. It's called winning the tournament. And there's a path to the MPL, quote unquote, but we don't know what it is. And that really sort of struck home as to why it hurts, you know, people who are very competitive so much. And of course, the people who, like, you know, casual and whatever, they don't care. Whatever, man. Like, let Wizards do whatever. It's like, yeah, but, you know, for 25 years, you've told me how to be a star in Magic. And now we don't know.
We're seeing this with other games too. There was an article I found a week or two ago that was talking about how certain esports companies are moving away from a competitive structure just because the wins don't last forever. And it's important to have a well-rounded brand so that people root for you even when you're not doing well. And so you are seeing these esports teams prioritizing their players being entertaining and being more personal, as opposed to just being good for wins. And, you know, if it's something that's happening in the larger esports scene, it makes sense that it's something, if Magic is kind of riding esports coattails, if they see other games kind of shifting away from this model of what do you bring to the table? I'm good. Well, we need more than that. You know, it makes sense that Wizards would hop on board with that and go in that direction of being more entertaining, you know, having a broader palette than just bringing wins to the table.
There is also another small detail that I want to note about the Magic Pro League that makes it slightly unique amongst pro leagues of other esports, which is that the Pro League is technically, it's designed less like, let's say, Major League Baseball and more like Major League Soccer, which is to say that various pro teams are typically owned by owners. But in Major League Soccer, all the teams are technically owned by the league.
Yeah. Ooh.
For the MPL, it's different than most professional leagues in that the contracts are paid by Magic, not by Tempo Storm, not by Cloud9, not by Echo Fox, not by any of these other teams. They're paid by the league. And as such, one of the rules of the Magic Pro League is that you can't be on an esports team. And so if they invited Kenji Tsumura, Kenji Igashira, other Kenji, Numot, he would have to leave his current contract and go to the Pro League. Or Wyatt Darby would have to leave and go to the Pro League and not maintain their current team contracts. And so that is a different type of paradigm shift. There are lots of different paradigm shifts happening with Arena, but this one is unique and is really trying to blaze its own trail, mostly because Hasbro likes to control everything.
Let me have
another wrinkle.
Let me have a real quick aside here, okay? Because this happened recently, and it's something that actually happened to me a long time ago. And I want people who may be streaming, maybe up-and-comers, maybe wanting to do this for a living, or maybe are doing this for a living. Let me give you a piece of advice, okay? Never, ever, 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 not once, not one time, do you ever put anyone or anything or any company or any organization between you and your money. Let me give you a little hint as to what happens with some of these esports contract things. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let me tell you something. Here's what they'll say. They'll say, "Hey, we can get you into this team, and we can get you all these collaborations, and we can get you all these advertisement opportunities. But here's what we do: we take all of your Twitch money, the 100% of your Twitch money, all of it, and then we give you a set amount of money per year, a set salary, so you can guarantee whether the subs go up or down." That they are going to pay you out that amount of money for let's say 2 years. And again, this is from a real example. And for you to be on the upswing and then suddenly cap yourself at 30 grand a year, while the people who are running that organization, while you keep going like this and you keep making more and more and more and more money, they keep earning more off that while you get stuck on a fixed income for 2 years, is awful, is terrible. Never do it. Never agree to it. It's not worth it. I don't care what they're telling you. They're going to take more of your money than they're going to provide in services and bonuses. It's happening. Because one time, many years ago, I actually put someone between me and my YouTube money, and that was stupid. And I lost about 30% of my income for a couple years because I didn't know any better, and they didn't help me do a damn thing. So just be real here. I'm serious. Do never, ever put anyone between you and your money. That's a bad idea. We got to keep moving.
Evan Irwin's a real one, is what that is. That's some real talk.
I'm just letting you know.
I will say, you guys don't know, Evan does take very good care of Ruben and I, from the business perspective, and God bless him for that. We all kind of have our strengths, I tend to handle the promotion. I speak with the fans. I do kind of the back ends.
The tops or the bottom stuff, we don't know. It's ups and downs.
And Ruben has his connections and his jokes and things like that. And so, but Evan makes sure that we're taking care of in that regard. We're doing the Patreon and splitting everything and the LLC. And thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. I do the best I can, but I'm just saying there's a lot of sharks out there that are trying to take advantage of people who are on the way up. That's it's not okay. All right, so the Mythic Edition of War of the Spark has kind of been one of the biggest clusters I've seen lately. It's rough. And you know what? Last week, I had taken a nap. I was still just kind of groggy, getting out of my haze or whatever. And the whole idea of sending a foil, rare, and mythic sheet hadn't really sunk in exactly. And I'll actually take, I think the professor is right on this one. I think Wizards actually, that's a great prize. I mean, it sucks. It's going to suck. There's nothing that's going to unsuck that. It's just, I know, I'm sorry. But all I'm saying is the idea that you get a foil uncut sheet, they're already selling for like a couple $100. And to get and to get something that's worth a couple $100, if not more, as time goes on, and to get something that you basically can't find anywhere else, one of the things that Professor noted was they're not making a lot of uncut sheets these days. And I know, unsuck, Aaron. And the idea that you're going to get one of these exclusive things is pretty cool. A $20 gift certificate with a time limit is total BS and ridiculous, but whatever. And for what it's worth,
I don't want your Delta travel voucher. Your $20 gift certificate to the diner for my 12-hour delay. This is actually like a real thing.
Right. Yeah. And based on the numbers we're looking at, anywhere from 20 to 30,000. And I just want you to imagine shipping anything like that. I mean, we're talking low level is at least $5 a piece, and that doesn't do with production or paying someone to roll up the thing and put it in the tube. So logistics, they are losing hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this. I think that's important to note.
Yeah. Great.
That said, some orders are not going to get the gift. If you were not charged and your money never left your account, and you never had to be refunded, they're saying that's the thing. And there's some people who said that they were charged and the money was taken, and they're still not going to be included, which is kind of BS, which I think is just a customer service issue that Wizards and eBay can work through.
I believe I also saw that Australia specifically was going to have an issue with this. Let me see if I can find the article.
Oh boy.
Go ahead, keep going.
No, it's fine. Ultimately, the idea that, you know, you're not going to get the gift because of these criteria that we set and you fall outside of them for arbitrary reasons, when to you it looked like a successful transaction and to you, you feel like you are part of this club that you're not a part of, that they arbitrarily created. Okay, fine. That's just, it's bad and it's ugly. And there's people on Discords that are like, yeah, I got me about 12 of them. Waiting on another 6 to come in. It's like, well, you're the worst part of humanity. Thank you. That's great. But
as if Gavin's gonna go in the shipping room and like pack them himself. Like what?
What are you doing? Like,
it's weird.
The guy that tweeted at Gavin, this is like the people that come into Blogatog and complain about like just like stuff that has nothing, like the artist boycott, and coming into Blogatog to talk about that. Like, what are you doing? Just like the guy, then of course there's this guy who, you know, got 13 of them shipped to him so that no one else could have any.
That was frustrating.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty frustrating development as well. I mean, there's no two ways about it. This was a massive cluster. I appreciate the work that they're trying to do to try to make it better. Here we go. eBay Australia stating that if you declined the cancellation request, you might not get the foil sheet.
I went in and officially canceled the cancel thing and told them it's fine. I mean, I don't want to be a part of some freaking lawsuit against Wizards. That's a great idea for us to never get a preview card again.
Right, exactly.
You know, that'd be stupid.
It's boy, is it a mess. And it looked like it was going to be a quick dollar. Like, you know, Evan Irwin on this program, master of all things value, said that this is the easiest buy of all time.
It was.
Turns out the snake oil was in. You know, it's like it's more trouble than it's worth, maybe.
No, the money was there, and the people who got lucky, and there's some people that Cool Stuff had ordered, and they got lucky. And it was like,
except
that's
for
fantastic.
It's like the old man with the dollar on the end of his fishing rod. You got to be quicker than that, right?
That's right.
Like that old. So it's boy, howdy, is it a headache.
It's a sad thing, honestly. And speaking of sad, beware here, incoming feelings. All right, this will hit you like a truck. And got over 40,000 likes and 3,900 retweets. I thought that was amazing. I just found that out. That's fantastic.
It's amazing, yeah.
Huey Jensen, rather. Sorry, mentioned. I tried mentioned and Jensen together. Jensen. All right, perfect. Huey Jensen tweeted this out. He said he found out at his grandpa's funeral during the eulogy that when he died, they found a small piece of paper in his wallet with Magic the Gathering written on it. My grandma wrote it for him so he could remember the name of the game I played to brag about me despite the Alzheimer's. And that I can't, you know, I'm reading that out loud and I'm getting.
That's some Pixar feels right there.
Right. That's
this went mainstream. This tweet was shared by a number of various meme accounts on Facebook and Instagram. That share wholesome news. What a beautiful sentiment, and my feelings go out to the whole Jensen family for their loss, because that is just what a beautiful thought by grandma for grandpa, and you know, I've heard that people become more like themselves as they get older, and you know, my grandpa, as he was heading toward his final days, became just a kinder and kinder and kinder man, regardless of whether he recognized us at all, but was just like, oh, what a sweet young man, who is that? And it's like, that's your grandson. It's like, oh, good to know, like that kind of feeling. And this reminded me of that with my grandpa, and this is just such a beautiful little moment. And I'm happy to be one of the 3,900 retweeters of the official story.
Yeah, and it sucks. My grandma's going through this right now, and it's really hard.
Yeah, it's hard when the ones who leave us before they leave us. It's very difficult, and this is a little beacon of hope. There's a little bit of the sun shining through on this cloudy topic.
So I was gonna go something that's I'm not doing another downer right after that. I can't do it. And I can't even show this.
I can't be the only one who's cried on this show.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So announcing Whimsy, Wonder, and War, a Magic art show, which is pretty cool. October 24th through 27th in the Schmidt Gallery, Goggleworks Center for the Arts in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Reading.
I'm sorry, Reading, because the Reading Market.
You've never played Monopoly? It's the Reading Railroad.
It is the Reading, yes. I'm just reading this. They announced their third exposition of original art. They're going to open alongside the 9 main show, the 1X. I'm not sure if that's how that's supposed to be read. This fall. The exhibition, the first of its kind on the East Coast, will feature over 60 pieces of original Magic the Gathering art from more than 20 past and present Magic artists. The narrative will explore the themes of whimsy, wonder, and war within the game of Magic, how these topics interact and inform, and how they connect to the thousands of works of art curated for the game. That is really sweet.
So this is ILXCon.
Yes.
In case you are unfamiliar with ILX, so it's the IX is the shorthand for ILX. This is a beautiful space, the Goggle Works in Reading. I was able to go there when I lived in Pennsylvania for a while. Nice big gallery, and is going to have some fabulous stuff for Magic the Gathering. They also have a regular installment from Greg Hildebrand at that particular location, who is a Magic artist. Of course, well known elsewhere.
I'm stacked lineup. Lars Grant West.
It's nice.
Rob Alexander.
Kudos to the team for getting the Magic Art Show back on. As I've said many
Aaron
times,
Miller.
the Magic Art Show was the highlight of the first GP Vegas for me. I'm excited to see it keep going.
I'm curious, does Mike Linneman have anything to do with this?
I believe he does, question mark.
I feel like anything to do with art often has Mike in it somewhere.
Yes.
But either way, this art show was fan-freaking-tastic at Vegas. If you haven't seen one or anything like it, I'm telling you, it's an experience unto itself, and I would certainly highly recommend it.
Yeah, I know the last ILXCon that came around, or there was a previous one, because the list of artists going to ILXCon is massive. And Mike will usually tweet out a link just kind of going through and highlighting which one are Magic artists. But yeah, it's definitely a rare opportunity to get possible autographs from artists that don't normally go to GPs. Yeah, like, I think the guy that did Narcomoeba was at the last one, and I was like, and I was like,
well, this affords me the opportunity to touch back on another topic that we haven't discussed in a while, which is the Magic artist boycott.
Yeah, so what's come of that?
It is nothing's come of it, which is why we haven't talked about it in a while. But it's another reason why we're talking about the Magic Art Show, not in connection to Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Right. Why is this not at a Magic Fest? Why isn't this sponsored by Channel Fireball? Why isn't this sponsored by Wizards of the Coast? Like, part of this, and this is just sort of on the marketing side of things, like, just being proud of Magic is kind of a thing you should put money towards. Like, that's a good idea to be like, you know, hey, look at our history and look at this stuff and how awesome it is. And this great and Magic great. That's why we're here. It kind of
feels like when you're dating somebody you're ashamed of, so you go to that out-of-the-way Chinese restaurant so nobody will see you two together.
Right.
We're going to put the art show in this random con because we don't want to be seen with you.
Right. Like, what the? This isn't like part of your PAX East package? Like, this isn't really?
I mean, I like Reading, Pennsylvania as much as the next guy, but it's like, join us at Magic Art Show 4 in Skokie, Illinois. Instead of Los Angeles or Seattle or these big metropolitan hubs.
Doing art show in Puxatawny or wherever.
No offense, right? No offense to Chillicothe, Ohio, but it's not where I want the art show to be.
It's just, you know, oh God. Anyway. All right, moving on here. Simon Görtzen, with some unfortunate news, noted he's stepping down from his role as Magic caster and analyst.
Yeah, I don't think that there's much given in terms of explanation for the purpose of the stepping down. But Simon, I loved Simon's commentary. Always insightful, always entertaining. I love the accent. I love the insight. The combination of empathy and professionalism that he was able to include into broadcast was always a highlight.
Right.
So Simon, the highlight of the Euro team for a while. Remember when we had the various commentary teams, and I always thought that the Euro team was
and he won a Pro Tour. I mean.
And he won a Pro Tour. Oh, by the way.
Yeah, BT Dubs. And for me, and I mean this in the absolute best way possible, he's just an awesome German presence. Like, you know, very analytical, very to the point, you know, super incredibly smart, really had a lot of great things to say at the time. I thought his analysis was great. I'm going to miss it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and good luck to you, Simon, in the future. All right, moving forward here. there are alternate art shock clans on Magic Online.
What the hell?
This kind of came out of nowhere. My guess, this appears to be, and I'm going to get them on the screen here in a second. This appears to be Wizards had a plan to announce them at some point in the future, and Scryfall found them in the code / in the assets.
Awkward.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, and they're gorgeous. I mean, they're fantastic, and I'm looking forward to them not only being on Magic Online. I hope they bring them to Magic Arena, but maybe this is something they use to try to keep Magic Online interesting and unique. Is that this is the only place you can get them? I don't know.
These are super cool. In particular, I thought that the Temple Garden and the Hallowed Fountain were notable for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The Temple Garden is art I've never seen before. Like, some of the arts look similar to things I'd seen and might be crops of other pieces of art. The Steam Vents and the Overgrown Tomb look familiar. But the Temple Garden, I thought, looked like it could have been key art for the Celestia from like the D&D book. And the Hallowed Fountain looks like it's new prov, like in the process of being built or taken apart or something. It's very weird and very unique. The Hallowed Fountain intrigues me to no end. I'm very interested to know where these come from and what the release of these is going to look like, because these are weird.
Is that scaffolding?
It looks like scaffolding. It looks
That's
like
amazing.
Space scaffolding.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I love it. And the art for Temple Garden is so good. If you find it online, check it out. It's like it's from Tolkien. Like, it looks very Lord of the Rings, and I mean that in a good way. It looks really, really sweet. So we'll see where those show up. Maybe Wizards will let us know. Move on here
I'm being told in the chat that this is post-war, like restoration era Ravnica. That's kind of neat.
That's cool. Yeah.
I'm curious, and someone have mentioned this, maybe this is the Mythic Edition for Magic Core Set 2020.
Oh, cool.
I don't know. That this is literally 100% total rumor. I saw it on the internet in a Twitch chat, so that means it's totally real. But move on here to Desperate Ravings. There's an MCQ winner who turned to GoFundMe.
There are several
for Airfare.
Right. Well, the first one that we saw was Ryan Alcoin.
Mm-hmm. And Dom Harvey, who is clearly an SCG grinder, if nothing else.
Also, new member of the MPL, Jessica Steffen, has also been signal boosting, and I believe she also offered to kick in some money financially as well.
And BBD as well has chimed in and said that he will do something similar. But yeah, Dom Harvey.
Interesting problem in people that used to be something that was paid for, and I believe it was something that was scrapped in lieu of the larger prize purse, and so. Right. There are some people, there's been some debate about whether or not this is like a first world problem thing. Should you have even, qualified at that point? It isn't opening up some discussions about that. But I think it's a little sad of like, you have people that win this prestigious thing that used to get you this thing. And, these are
$1,500, $2,000. I'm sorry, what?
I was just saying, I just mentioned earlier, these are people that have already checked off the box of being good at the game, but they haven't been able to acquire those other resources yet. And it's just really, really unfortunate.
I mean, again, you have $1,500, $2,000 plane tickets. A $500 min cash is great, but like, that's a lot up front, plus meals, plus you got to get places. Like, none of that's free. So,
not to mention, if you want to go early, you have to take time off of work. You have to get hotels. I mean, it's difficult. It is. This is another one of these barriers into competitive Magic. It is an expensive hobby,
right.
And it is an expensive career path. Even if you are lucky enough to be able to reach the requisite pro level, even before the.
I don't think it's as simple. Somebody in the chat is saying, well, just don't play in MCQs if you can't afford it. Like, that's. On the one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, I think that's a sad state. I think if that's where Magic is, I think that's a sad state of affairs on like a larger scale. Like, if people shouldn't be avoiding MCQs because they can't afford it. There should be. You mentioned Gerry and the equity about the 20 or 25,000 just disappearing. Why is this not covered?
Right, and I understand that they want the bigger number for the event, so you can say that the event is a $750,000 tournament or whatever, and everybody is guaranteed to get paid, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, when they're in these exotic places that you wanted them to be, they cost exotic money to get there. And yeah, it's first world problems, and yeah, maybe you should have thought about that, but it is a legitimate concern that, hey, I can't actually afford this really cool thing that I earned because you put it in a place that costs well over, multiple times over what your minimum payout is. Yeah. When the Pro Tour's in Las Vegas or whatever, and it takes $200 to get there from, friggin' anywhere in the world, who cares? That's great. But not when it's in Barcelona, Spain. So people like Dom, Harvey, and others had offered to essentially provide a zero interest loan for the automatic min cash. Basically, they will front you $500 because you're guaranteed to get $500 as long as somebody can vouch for you that you're not a scumbag, and you will actually send back the $500 when you get it.
They also can't defer their invites, just to answer somebody in chat. Right. So these are people that if they cannot make it to this, that invite is gone.
Right. That $500 you don't get. If you don't show up, you don't get it. And them some stakes right there in terms of what you can do. Interesting story next here from Adam Fisher. He writes at Twitter support, please help as my other account at Dana Fisher MTG just disappeared in the last 24 hours and I can't even log in. Yep. Submitted a sport ticket, but apart from the automated response, which didn't address what happened, no luck. What?
There's been some speculation that because Dana is below 13, that I think you need to be at least 13 to have a Twitter account. So it's possibly, I don't think he's specified, but the consensus seems to be that somebody might have reported him for managing an account for a 13-year-old, and that's why Twitter took the account away, which is crappy.
Or for a minor, essentially.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be minors on Twitter. This is a minor on Twitter. I could see that as a possible explanation, at least in terms of it disappeared out of nowhere, and we hope that there's no more. We don't need no more crazy drama, okay?
No.
We've had our fill of drama. Dana,
usually when somebody deactivates their account, it means something's gone down, where it's like, uh-oh, like, is she okay? And
usually there's an explanation. There was a couple hours of real concern for a moment.
Right.
We were like, why is this account taken down? Is this an Aaron Campbell situation where she's decided to cut all ties for a couple hours?
Or days.
Yeah, and I'm texting like, are you dead? And she's just like,
dead? Exactly.
Lol, ain't saying nothing. Ain't sending a middle finger or nothing.
In this case, it turns out there is nothing nefarious or sad to report, just confusing. Yeah, Dana's alive and fine and in school and probably in bed right now. So go to sleep if you're not.
Right.
Yeah, just like a sad story, seeing as Dana is an ambassador to the game who's been written about and made videos about on everything from short documentaries to Channel Fireball to Kotaku and other mainstream sites. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Really, to have built that following and to put all that time into the content that you have there and whatnot, that's really unfortunate.
Right. So in the meantime, if you want more Dana Fisher news, be sure to follow Fisher71, who's the dad, who's Adam Fisher, and it's Fischer. And yeah, hopefully it gets resolved.
All right. Move on here to a new Patreon showed up for Holy Diva, also known as Daniela Diaz.
Yeah,
Aaron?
So we've talked about, financial barriers to playing Magic. And Daniela is somebody who I believe last year quit her job full-time to stream, to do streaming for a living. She was a successful streamer around that time, and she thought she'd be able to do that. And she was doing quite well until she was diagnosed with a thrombosis, I believe, which she almost died from. And I believe is so serious that she's also had to go off hormones. She's a trans woman. And so that has had a detrimental effect on her personality, her anxiety, and her appearance, her confidence. And so she's had to scale back to streaming a little bit. She's getting to a point where she wants to dive back into it, but she is cutting it very, very close in terms of being able to do this for a living. And so she is asking people that if you do support her, that support needs to, consider chucking her $1. The retweets are cute, the likes are cute, but mama's got to eat. And, that's something that I definitely feel very strongly about. I try to give my Patreon dollars to folks that really, really need it, as opposed to, the folks that seem to be doing okay. And so I definitely plan on cutting Daniela a slice. But again, if you do support creators and you do want them to keep creating, particularly when they're going through hard times, that support needs to be tangible. And so if you can, if you can't, donate anything financially, if you have benefited in any way, Daniela certainly put in a lot of time in Modern. She was playing Suicide Zoo and Kiln Fiend decks before any of these guys were, before Thing in the Ice was a thing now. And so if you have enjoyed her work in any capacity, please consider, either using that Amazon Prime sub, tossing her a retweet, tossing her $1, because I am so glad that she's in this community, and I hope that she can keep creating content.
All right. Moving on here to, I believe this is Roshen. I'm Eapen. I ain't trying to say that.
Roshen Eapen or Roshen Eapen. Roshen to Dream.
Well, right. Is it Roshen? Is what his Twitter name looks like. But okay, Roshen. God, I feel awkward.
He won Grand Prix Tampa.
He won GP Tampa. Fantastic.
He also won. He was part of a Team Open win in 2018. So he's got quite a number of high finishes.
And he's got a free apology from me of what in the hell I just did to his name there. But after some investigation, he notes that he's currently in the lead as the Rookie of the Year by 3 pro points. Unfortunately, Wizards doesn't care about this anymore. I said that. He said, WotC removed this as an official title award. If I achieve this, is this something I can put on my med school application? Like, this is part of the thing that when I was working, and still today, where in terms of Cedric Phillips and running the SGG tour stuff, that is a thing that they recognize, as I recall, is some sort of Rookie of the Year thing. I know we certainly recognized it many times over the years, and Wizards has. They've done it. They've leaned in real hard, in terms of like the Rookie of the Year gets platinum or whatever, and then sometimes it's just like, who cares? We don't really care that you're the Rookie of the Year. Isn't that nice? That's really cute. Pat on the head and go home. So it's just awkward. I would like for Wizards to acknowledge that, even if it's nothing but like it's on the website. You know what I mean? Like you took their picture and put it on one of your Twitter accounts. Like wouldn't it be nice to just know who? I don't know. I try not to ask or think ask too much of Wizards these days. I'm just trying to hold on with what they're doing, let alone what I want them to do beyond what they're doing. We want here.
Lord grant me strength. I am not going to reply to this Lane Chase tweet. I'm not.
Oh boy. All right.
Elaine Chase, I gotta do this. I gotta do it. So Elaine Chase just posted a tweet, and she said, God bless her, but she has a habit of posting tweets at really bad times. Do you remember when she posted that weird one about the dance recital as like the community was falling apart around her? So she just posted a tweet where she was like, my daughter wants to make a game for a social studies project. It's called Prohibition, and the goal is to make money while avoiding the authorities. Teacher said no, Kickstarter. And part of me wants to reply, I got some Kickstarters you can and give her. I'm awful. I'm sorry.
Wow. All right. We'll move on here to Splash.
That's what happens. That's what happens.
Pay for them pros to play. Go support those
at midnight on Wednesday, and Aaron is already riled up from the week's news.
Sipping that tea, ready to make it happen. Look, the Broken Pact Live is happening this Saturday.
Hey, y'all, that's me. So D&D Live The Descent is this weekend. I posted the link in the chat there.
Look at you promoting yourself.
Yeah, I want you all to join us for the 22nd episode of Ravnica the Broken Pact, the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica show on twitch.tv/D&D. This weekend, Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, for 2 hours, we're going to be doing a live show from one of the stages. So please do join us, me and the rest of the cast, at twitch.tv/D&D Live 4. So they've made some extra channels because it's a lot like a music festival. There's going to be multiple things going on all at the same time. During our time slot, I think we're the only live play game that's occurring, but there's going to be panels and interviews and discussions and all of that kind of stuff.
Are we going to what?
Are we going to tell them about our little...
Well, we're working on something. Okay. We got a special. If you're a patron,
you like D&D and you like Magic Mics, keep your eyes
peeled. If you're a patron, if you're a patron, you know a little bit more than what we're saying right here. So,
but yeah, please go check out D&D Live 4 and follow D&D Live 4, and then join me on Saturday.
There you go. All right, so I work at CoolStuffInc.com, and I know, right? It's weird. And we can find cool stuff in stock every day. And I am pretty well on the pulse of the gaming industry. And they had a heart attack this morning. Everyone lost their mind. Because, see, Cool Stuff Inc., not only do we sell lots of board games and stuff and card games and whatever, but we, Inouye's already given. We'll do it. Yeah. Cool. So they... Cool Stuff Inc. also runs a company called Quartermaster Logistics, which does Kickstarter fulfillment. And if you ever need Kickstarter fulfillment and you don't know what's going on or how to do it or how much it costs, contact Quartermaster Logistics. But, I know, right? But all that means is, and we're not getting political because this ain't a political show, but there was toys, board games, and dice included in proposed tariffs. And this is where the tariff's going up from 10% on not gaming items at all. The current tariffs don't touch those at all, to 25% that now include this stuff. And everyone lost their minds. Oh my God. So first of all, let's be clear here. These are proposed. These are not in place. This has not happened. This is just a thing that they're probably using to scare them, I guess. But either way, this is not in place yet. And also note, this will only impact what you manufacture in China. So if you made it elsewhere, send it to China to get it put together or whatever. That's different. So ultimately, yes, this could be a gigantic wrecking ball into what was only a gigantically growing Kickstarter industry around board games, where you get these super sweet versions of board games that you can only get from Kickstarter, and then they send that they do a regular version that they send to stores if you still want to play the game, but you don't get the one with like the metal coins or the special playmat or the special promo thing or whatever it happens to be because you got it from Kickstarter. Well, if these projects take like up to a year to launch, to figure out what's the exact video. You got to get the reviewers involved. You got to get those quotes in there. You got to be ready with your social campaign and what you're going to do with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and how you're going to push this and promote this and be on podcasts and talk about it. And all of that takes time. All of that takes money. And to do all of that work and then say, wait a minute, our production cost is 25% more than it was before. If a campaign is already completed, that could be, you could literally make no money when you thought you were making money. And that's ridiculous. And you could just lose money from that point. So that's why everyone in the gaming industry was like losing their minds this morning. But the number one thing to understand, this is not happening yet. This is just proposed. If it does happen, it would happen in June, like earliest. And even then, you would have some amount of time to prepare. It wouldn't stop or hurt the stuff on the water, blah, blah, blah. So there's a whole mess in there that the gaming industry was really upset about and concerned, as it were.
Speaking of the gaming industry, my press pass for Gen Con got approved, so Mama's going to be at Gen Con.
Heck yeah.
My press pass also got approved, but I don't think I need the press pass because I also am a tabletop purveyor.
Oh, okay.
I'm working the event.
Oh.
If you want to come down and play, I think I'm running Fate Accelerated on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if you want to look up, I actually don't have the details right now, but
that's okay. Let's go ahead and pick ourselves a winner. Well. Let's pick a winner.
I better be invited to the steakhouse dinner stuff, Aaron.
Congrats to DW Kicks.
We'll see.
DW Kicks is the winner of a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com. Congratulations.
With the pumped up kicks.
That's right. Way to go. Excellent, excellent. Please contact us over Whispers or social media. Aaron's probably got you blocked. You know how it is. It's just another day. That's right. Didn't even have to use my AK.
Wow.
All right. Let's go in here to our finisher. Turn the corner. And first, we'll give our thanks to all of our fantastic resubs. We begin here with Arcane Lore, resub for 11 months in a row. Almost a year, they said, and the content keeps getting better.
Great. Good to hear.
We certainly appreciate that. MTG Young Mage, hey, yo, get in bed right after we're done. You know that. It's getting late. Has resub for 13 months. 13 months from a 13-year-old. It's a triskaidekaphobia thing.
Aww.
That's great. Celtic Damon, resub for 5 months in a row. 5 months of enjoying Aaron sipping on the best tea, Ruben dealing puns of damage, and going to Magical Christmas Land with Evan. Well, you guys are great. Antho Amic, subscribe for in Tier 1. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much. Telmaman has sub Tier 1. Thanks a lot and welcome. D. Castrellin55 has sub via Prime. Way to use those Bezos bucks. Let's see here. Camarek85, resub for 7 months. Thank you very much. A Little Aloaf, which I learned how to say.
Who I had the pleasure of doing Two-Headed Giant with this weekend and is our secret weapon and friend of the show.
Yeah, and so this isn't like Martin Cockabad, which we did for a long time, way too long.
I mean, the length of time with which we've been accidentally mispronouncing it is a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
too kind to not correct us, but we got it now. A little.
Yes, we got you, Martin. We know.
Thank you, Martin. Well, a little Alof said 13 months. Good thing I didn't break any mirrors or walk under any ladders today, which is awesome. So thank you so very, very much. Ruben, you want to give us some Savjz to read off?
Yeah, so I would give you Savjz, which we'll have to save for later because I'm not really feeling this. Later on, if I decide that I want to go to the Pro Tour or I want to do some things, I haven't really decided yet. But it was recommended by CryHavoc44 in the Discord that instead of reading it in that voice, I was requested, quote, can you do the bits tonight in the voice of Aaron that she uses in the pre-show Commander Guy? So I'm gonna do the voices as Aaron's Commander Guy. Like, I don't really know how the bits work, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Shame MTG gave us 69 bits. That's nice, I guess. Thunder Voice 1, 200 bits. Sexy Soy also gave us 200 bits. Smill Cows give us 500 bits. It's very kind of you. And Eternally Tribal gave us 1,691 bits, which honestly is really cool and very nice of you.
There are a few.
Makes sense to those of you who listen to the pre-show, because I had a commander opponent the other day, and that was my impression of him. So
very nice. Spill Cows noted on his bits. You three are awesome, and thank you and all who make this podcast possible, which is great. You guys are awesome. Shame just gave us another 69 bits. Very nice. So, it's cool, I guess. Very nice. All right. So, space, the final frontier. NASA tweeted today that we're going back to the moon, and this time it's personal. Big news, permanent moon bases coming by 2024. As JFK said, quote, we choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. But keep in mind, it's going to be boring. No dance clubs, bowling alleys, water parks, just hiking and stargazing and rock collecting as far as the eye can see. The best way to fill those hours, as far as I can see, is magic. So let's say that the magic mics were selected to be the moon mics. What magic things are you packing in your airtight footlocker when you boldly go where no magic player has gone before? Ruben?
I think I would invest in some old cards that have not yet been officially graded. Because if I'm going to space for 5 years, I'm going to make it worth it from an investment perspective. And there's nothing better for keeping the mint condition on your paper products than the endless vacuum of space.
They'll still curl.
You think so? I don't think there's much water damage happening on the moon.
You just never know. You never know. Aaron?
Well, I would probably bring a nice collection of commander decks, at least a dozen fun, interesting, interactive 99 card collections of beautiful, intricate singleton strategies. And best of all, since I'm bringing them, there won't be a single rest in peace or Bajuka Bog within 250,000 miles of my games. Not a one. Just
absolutely.
Sounds like paradise.
I love it. Of course, the next logical step after the moon base is Mars. So I'm prepared for stage 2, and the best things to bring to our closest planetary neighbor from the moon would be, of course, a whole collection of Blood Moon and Magus the Moon and Painter's Servant and anything else that turns everything into the red planet. Literally. Yeah. Nice. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Aaron.
So, thank you guys for having me. I don't really podcast very much, but just figured it might be kind of fun, so that's what I'm here for. So.
Thank you, Ruben.
I'm really excited to have had you on the show this evening. I haven't decided if I'm going to go to any events in the future, but I'll be sure to let you know if it becomes worth it.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. All right. Moving to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Ruben Bressler and Aaron Campbell. You guys for watching and listening, and hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe.
Follow, like, tweet, favorite, and share, and subscribe. Do everything social that tells the people that we exist.
I mean, if you really want to, I don't really do social media very much, but it's kind of fun. I might YouTube how to do it. I don't know.
We're on Discord. Twitch.tv at Magic Mics, Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at magicmicspodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at magicmicspodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes or Spotify, or join us here next week. Same time, same place, for another award-winning episode of Magic Mics.
Award-winning!
So do I have to like show up for the award, or can I do like that little TV thing?
I haven't decided if I'm going to show up and collect the award or if they can send it to the house.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good night, everybody. Oh, my God.